Hello everyone, welcome back to MHSNews podcast with me, Elliott Jorgensen.
And me, Mr. McAteer.
And today we're going to be talking about the newest Spider-Man game, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 for the PS5. So this released on October 20th, and it is currently nominated for Game of the Year, Best Action Game, and Best Performance for Yuri Lowenthal for Peter Parker / Spider-Man. So, your opinions on the first game, or first game and a half. What do you think?
Yeah,
the original Spider-Man and Miles Morales.
The original Spider-Man felt like that was like a real moment in time. Like that was like that game feels really special to me in a lot of ways. Like I remember popping in and just being like, oh wow, like this is it reminded me of like how video games used to feel. It felt really good. Like it felt like it had a soul and the story was really engaging. And it told a really tight and a really intriguing Spider-Man story in a world that felt really genuine and interesting to live in. I really loved it, and I thought Miles Morales was a really good game as well. I love when they take like an existing map and toss a new story in. I think that more games should utilize that, especially big open world single player games like that. Because obviously dev time doesn't have to be as long because you have the world already built. And the Miles Morales world isn't exactly the same. They've changed some stuff, but obviously the bones of it are all still there.
Not like how Spider-Man 2 introduces the boroughs and all of that.
Of course. And I'm sure they still borrowed some assets from Spider-Man PS4, but obviously there's a lot more. Like the map is much larger.
Yeah, whenever I first played Spider-Man 1, towards like that ending segment was like one of the only times I've ever cried during a video game.
Really?
Like that whole sequence. This game's been out, so spoilers till whatever time on screen. Whenever Peter has to get the cure, Aunt May's in the hospital, and he comes in, and he takes off his mask, and she's like, "Yeah, I already knew."
Right.
Like, and like that like wrecked me because they like built her up, and like Pete's really struggling a lot of times, but like he has that crutch of Feast and Aunt May, and he comes in and he like has like a home and they can talk, and she helps him out like whenever he's in between housing or can't pay the rent, like May's there to help him, and like all these like really important issues, and like she's been built out through the entire game. So Spider-Man 2, what were your expectations going into it? Were you like really hyped for it, or you just were like, I'm excited to play this because I like the first ones? Like, what was your headspace going into the game?
It kind of snuck up on me. It was one of those games like, oh yeah, like I know that's coming. But then it was like here. I think it's because I was like teaching. So like it was really hard for me to like kind of sit down and really get hyped for a game because I've got so much on my plate. But then it came out, and it was like a couple days before, and I was like, yeah, I'll pre-order it, whatever. And I bought it. And I was like, okay. And I came home that day, and I sat down, and I played it. My fiance's sister got COVID that week, so she was staying at my house with me. So it was like me and her and my sister all sitting at the couch, and we played Spider-Man for like that entire week when it came out. And it was really cool, and like I got to experience it like with the people around me, and they were like, skip that side mission, we want to see the next story mission. And they kept bothering me about that. Like they wanted to see how it played out. And like that was really cool. It was a really fun experience for me to kind of enjoy that with my people around me. And it really does feel like you're like participating in like a weekly Spider-Man television show. And it's really hard to get yourself out of that. Like you want more. Like I felt myself like it was like 7th hour, and like I'm like, oh man, like I really want to go home and play Spider-Man. Right now. Like I'm really excited to see what happens next in this game. Not that the side quests aren't engaging, because I thought the side quests we got in this one are pretty engaging. The traversal is incredible. The web slinging and the addition to the web wings are really big. For me, the web wings are really cool. I don't know how you feel
my
about
god, they're so sick.
I think
my
it's really
goodness.
Cool. What did you think of the story?
Okay, so I think I liked it. It just felt like some things were sorta like wonky for me. I liked the I liked like the setup, and like I liked the scenes that play out. Like like every scene plays out really well. It's just I feel like the problem is that there wasn't as many. I know this might be controversial because people don't like these moments, but I like smaller out of suit moments.
I agree.
And to build the character of Miles, Pete, MJ, Harry, like they need to be together more. Like and Miles is the one to like does like you play as Miles at the final part of the final boss.
Yeah.
And he says like 2 things to Harry the entire game.
Yeah,
he
they
has a
barely
phone
interact.
call
Okay.
and they shake their hands.
That's valid, actually.
And that's it. And so there's not. He's like, I want to save you, Harry. And I'm like, this guy doesn't know this guy. He's only doing this because Pete's all like sad because his boyfriend's evil now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know. That's like the main thing. Is I'm like, I like the moments. I like the set pieces. I think all the villains are great. Always. I always think that Insomniac's like villains, like the boss fights, are always super action packed.
Right.
But I would have liked a little bit different of a final boss because you're kind of just jumping arena to arena.
Yeah.
You know that concept art of Venom and the two Spider-Men fighting them while they're swinging?
Yeah.
And it says like not in the game. But I'm like, man, I wish that was in the
It'd be
game.
cool, yeah.
Because like I want swinging boss fights. That's why Sandman was so good.
Yeah, that was fun at the beginning.
That was
I agree.
so good because
I
you're
agree.
getting your small arenas and then you're swinging and throwing stuff and you're like doing whatever and that's like this is peak.
Yeah.
This is what this game is about.
Yeah.
And so I really like that. What did you think about the story?
It was really good. I think I definitely hear your criticisms. I think they're very valid. I totally agree with you. For me, it was really fun. I do enjoy a good slice of life moment in my superhero stories. You're 100% right, and it really grounds the characters and it makes you care. Like instead of just like I'm punching the bad guy, you know what I mean? Like all these fights have more weight if I feel more connected to these characters. That's not like a cutting edge thing to say at all. But I think Harry should have spent more time in the black suit and done more superheroing, and kind of they became more of a team. And if they really build that rapport, this is way more tragic. I
know. I wish there was more Agent Venom stuff.
Yeah.
Like that would be sick. Like having like 3 Spider-Men going through. Like maybe you could control Harry for some missions outside of Venom.
Yeah.
But just like Harry and like having like a 3. Like it switches to Harry to do this thing with the symbiote because he's the only one who can go inside this reactor. Oh well, Pete's doing this because he has the spider arms and he has to like launch these guys, and Miles is over here punching this thing with his Venom abilities and like his all like upgraded powers that he manifests in this game. Like all of that should have been like there should have been more of that in the middle of the game to transition from the hunt to Venom. I feel like there should have been like a transition.
Or Harry should be more involved with the stuff that's going on with Craven. I totally agree with you. And like I think there's some like a little bit of, I don't know if it's inconsistency. Maybe I need to play it again and feel it again. But like it feels like Harry has a way better command of the symbiote and like his emotions while he's wearing the symbiote than Peter does. Like Peter seems to have like a real breakdown really fast. I don't know if that's because like Harry's sick and the Venom has to, or and the symbiote has to put in more work to like keep him alive, or like I don't know what the deal with that is. But it just seems like he's like doing pretty well in the symbiote, and like he's a little impulsive, but he's not like a jerk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do think it's probably the thing of like Harry like is too sick to like give in to his emotions, and he probably is like still like early in like having it. But like Pete has like some very like developed and like emotional trauma, all this stuff of May still and him inheriting the house and this stuff with MJ not wanting to move in, and MJ's working for Pete's ex-employer at the Daily Bugle, and she's being forced to like there's all this really really stressful stuff in Pete's life. And so then like the symbiote's just like, oh,
he's already gonna snap anyway.
It's like right there. It's like this is what pushes it over.
I don't know. I think the story's good, and they tell a really tight story. And I think it like this game felt shorter to me than Spider-Man 1, and I don't know why that was. Maybe I took my time more in Spider-Man 1, or maybe I had shorter play sessions or something like that. But I would have really appreciated a little bit more of like rising action in the game. I think that would be. I think it would like another hour or 2 of like character development would go so far for this game. And I know this game's already huge, and like asking for that's a lot, but
an hour of 3 Spider-Man mission. That alone, put that in the middle of the game, that like solves a lot of my issues with the game.
Not that it's bad.
No,
it's not bad. No, it's not bad at all. But that I think that would make it. I mean, geez, like what would I even say in this podcast if I had no problems with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I also think that like compared to Spider-Man 1, this game is a lot more comic booky. Like like you're saying, like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like they're like we gotta go fight this guy. Da 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 da. But like I feel like in Spider-Man 1, there's a lot more of those quiet moments.
Like heart and soul.
Like Pete, like everything like slows down because he has to go to Ock to help him with something because that's his job.
You gotta do that dumb mini game with like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but like even the dumb mini games, that slows it down and then allows for out of suit personal connections and all that stuff with Feast and having the quests around that. I think
it feels friendly neighborhood.
It's that way, but this is friendly neighborhood in the sense that there's people to beat up and like every like crime that you see is resolved in like less than a minute.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be, because some of those in the first game went on for way too long.
What did you play the game on?
Like the difficulty?
Yeah.
I don't think it was like the mid, I think it was the middle, but like the one above the middle.
I played on the hardest difficulty, and some of those boss fights like really were a bit of a challenge for me. Like until I got the timing of the attacks down, like I would die like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
That's what I was kind of wondering how hard of a time you had with it, because I think at points I had to slow down because it was a real challenge. Like that, like there was a time where I was like, okay, I'm gonna turn my controller off real quick.
Yeah.
And take a walk before I make a fool of myself in front of my family, because I'm getting pretty upset right now.
I don't know. I think I didn't want to play it on a really hard difficulty because I was playing this game at the same exact time as Mario Wonder.
Yeah.
And then not even like 3 weeks later, Tactica comes out, and then like Christmas and all that stuff.
Right.
And so like I was like prioritizing, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do it on the hardest. That's like whenever New Game Plus comes out.
Sure.
I'll boot up New Game Plus. I'll put it on the hardest difficulty.
See, I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna put it on normal.
Normal.
And I'm just gonna play through the story.
Yeah.
I mean, I already have the platinum trophy. I don't know if I told you that before.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I do. Overall, best game ever, worst game ever.
Probably going best because
I agree.
I had like, I actually think I was the opposite for me. Just in the middle of the side quest, like having to swing from one place to do the flame quest to another one.
Yeah.
I just was thinking, I'm like this was, I also did this with FF16 and Tears of the Kingdom this year, and I just thought to myself, man, this might be like top like game. Even though I said like when in passing that I was thinking it was an 8.5, that's because I liked 85% of it.
Yeah.
And there's like 15% of it that I would have changed, but that's not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
It is closer to a 9 than an 8.
Yeah.
So it's more like an 8, 7, or a 9, but like
I feel the same way. It's a legit 9. If I'm feeling critical, it's an 8.5. But honestly, I always come into like, how did the game make me feel? It made me happy. I had a great time playing with my family. It was a thrill. There was not a section of the game I didn't enjoy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when I'm collecting dumb spider bots, it's not a bad time. It's just, it's a lost potential, right? And I think that's what you can sum it up to, is that they could have done a little bit more to be stupendously amazing, next level great, like talked about as the best game of the decade type stuff. But it's still a fantastic game.
Well, bye, y'all. I have no idea what our next podcast is going to be. So,
till next time.
Bye-bye.